Today we are doing Unit 3, Day 11 on solving word problems. To do that, we have to first define our variables, write our system, then solve our system. So to define our variables, we need to ask, what is the question asking? This question is asking us how many of each type of bin are there in the warehouse. So first we're going to define it as, we're going to let X be the number of 20-ton bins, and then Y is going to be the number of 15-ton bins. Okay, now, first step. Next thing, we need to write our system of equations. First thing we know is that the warehouse has a total of 20 bins. So I'm going to have 30 bins. So we know that X plus Y equals 30. In other words, the number of 20-ton bins plus the number of 15-ton bins equals 30. We know that the capacity of the warehouse is 510 tons. So the capacity for the 20-ton bins is 20. So the total capacity of that would be 20x, and then similarly plus 15y equals 510. And then we just need to solve that system. So the process of solving it, you can choose substitution or elimination, whichever you choose. It's really up to you. I'm going to choose elimination, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top equation and I'm just going to multiply it by negative 20 in order to eliminate the x. And solving this over here, that's going to give me negative 20x minus 20y equals negative 600. Our other equation is 20x plus 15y equals 510. Adding these together, the x's are eliminated. We get negative 5y equals negative 90. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 5, so we get that y is 19. So we know first that the number of 15-ton bins is 19. We know that the total number of bins is 30. So again, plugging this into the original equation, we know that x plus 19 equals 30. Subtracting the 19, we get 11. So again, to answer our question, we know that there are 11 20-ton bins and that there are 19 15-ton bins. For this next one, we're given a triangle and the measures of the triangle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a triangle so that we have it here. So here is a triangle. I'm going to label it A, and then B and C. You could really label it any way. We know that the angle of the measure of angle B is 2 more than 3 times A, and C is 8 more than A. So we know that everything is compared to angle A. So labeling this, I'm going to call angle A X. I know angle B is 3x plus 2, and I know that C is x plus 8. Writing our equation here, once we have it labeled, we know all the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees, so our equation is going to be x plus 3x plus 2 plus x plus 8 equals 180, and we're just going to go ahead and solve that. So again, first thing, we're going to remove the parentheses, basically distribute 1, so we just have x plus 3x plus 2 plus x plus 8 equals 180. Combining like terms, we get 5x plus 10 equals 180. We're going to subtract the 10, so that gives us that 5x equals 170. Dividing by 5, that gives us that x equals 34. Now we just need to find the measure of all 3 angles. So going over here, we know that the measure of angle A is 34 degrees. We know the measure of angle B is going to be 3 times 34 plus 2. So we can do that again on a calculator, or you can try to do it in your head. So that angle is going to be, let's see, so 90 and 12 is 102 is 104 degrees. And then we know the measure of angle C is going to be x plus 8, or 34 plus 8, which would be 42 degrees. So those are the angles of the measures of the angles of the triangle. And if you wanted to make sure, you could add all of these angles up and you would see that you would get 180. In this next example, it asks us how many adult tickets were sold. So we're going to label that X. So we say that X is the number of adult tickets, and then we'll label Y as the number of student tickets. So again, that's the first step to define the variables. The next step is to write the equation. We know that there were 510 tickets sold, so our first equation is that X plus Y equals 510. The second equation is for the cost, so we know it's $6 for the cost, so that's 6x, and $4 for the student, or $4.50 for the student, so 4.50y equals the total cost of what was sold, which was $25.80. So now again, we need to just figure out the method to solve it, and again, I'm going to solve by elimination. I'm going to take this first equation and I am going to multiply it by -6. So that's going to give me -6x minus 6y equals -3060. The second equation I'm going to keep the same, but I'm just going to rewrite it again. So I have 6x plus 450y equals 2580. And then again, we add them. The x's are eliminated. When we add the y's, we get -150y equals, and we have -360, 3060 plus 2580, which gives us a -480. When we divide by -150, we get that there are 320. That's the number of student tickets. The question asked us for the number of adult tickets, so we need to plug that into one of our equations. So we know that x plus y is 510, so x plus 320 equals 510. So we subtract 320, and we get that the number of adult tickets were 190. I don't know why I put that negative there. So when we do that, we just need to write our answer, that there were 190 adult tickets sold. For example 4, it's asking us to determine the cost to ship each size of the box. So again, for example 4, this is asking us to determine the cost to ship one of each size box. So again, we're defining our variables first. So I'm going to say x is going to be the cost to ship the small box, and then y is going to be the cost to ship the large box. That's the first step. Second thing, we need to write our system of equations. We know that the total shipping cost for 8 small and 5 large was 184. So we know that that's going to give us the equation 8x plus 5y equals 184. We know 1 large plus 1 small is 29, so that gives us that x plus y equals 29. So now we have our system of equations. We need to solve this. So again, solving this, I'm going to keep the first equation the same, and I'm going to multiply the second equation by -5 in order to eliminate the y. So I have 8x plus 5y equals 184. The second equation becomes negative 5x minus 5y equals negative 145. Adding these together, I get that 3x is going to equal 39. So I know that x is going to equal 13. And again, plugging that into the second equation to get what y, I know that y then, or 13 plus y, is going to equal 29. So y is going to equal 16. So now I know that it's going to cost me $13 to ship a small box, and it's going to cost me $16 to ship a large box. So again, that's the process for how we solve these application problems.